Hey guys, this is GameCow. Welcome to our 14th Pokemon TCG draft opening. This is for Aquapolis. As you can see, we've got a nice old sizzle on there too. Kinda shows you one of the better cards of the set, so that'll be pretty great. And yeah, we survived the unlucky number one. We even used a rainbow chicken for it. Yeah, this set has got a ton of really cool stuff in it. There's probably the big highlights. I mean, there's a fair few. One of the main highlights, I think, is Porygon, because this is the first time we're actually seeing a draw engine, I think, on the Pokemon card. It is draw only until 3 in hand, so it's a bit limited, but we can combine that with the Furret down here in order to put 2 cards back into our deck and take any energy that we want out. Might actually use this instead of Clefable if we are playing Special Energy, so that's kind of neat. And honestly, there's a lot of stuff worth talking about in this set, but I kind of just want to go over some of the highlights I'm looking for, just real quick here. The Hypno is one that I want for Dark Gengar decks. The Espeon would be really good to play around with, because I think this Espeon's actually pretty strong. Whereas Victory Bell is pretty nice to have as an option for the Gusting stuff. This is Erica's Victory Bell, but not named that. Donphan would be really good for Machamp to play around with, because it's very cheap to use the Earthquake attack. And yeah, that's most of the absolute best stuff up here. When it comes to the supporters, of course, we've got a lot of really good stuff, as we can hopefully see, but the highlights would be get a lot of Juggler. Fan Club is probably the best card of the set here. Town Volunteers replaces the Time Capsule we were trying to play last time round. And yeah, that's mostly that. We've got some crystals in here too, probably worth talking about the secret rares just because they are all terrible, so none of them are going to see play here, but I believe it's roughly 1 in 18 packs in this set will have one of these, so the same sort of odds as we had for the Gyarados. Hopefully that doesn't bear too much on our stuff here, because I do not want these. All of them are prohibitively expensive to use. They are colorless unless you attach a basic energy of that type to them for the turn, and yeah, they wouldn't have been good even in the very first sets of the game. Now we just have power crept these to oblivion, so do not expect any of these to see play if we get them. Probably the other notable thing immediately is that Rainbow Energy comes back here. We already have a playset of this before, so this isn't going to affect our counts. I don't think there's many that we can trade away at this point either, but we'll have to see, because I know Pepper and Sai have already completed their playset here. Anyway, let's just get into this. I have only just loaded TTS. I have pre-saved this before, so we do need to load the pack as we go in. Hence why we've got the noisy bit at the start here. It is literally generating a whole thing. Right off the bat, we've got some pretty good stuff looking here. So, I actually don't know if I prefer this Voltorb or the uncommon one, but I think this Voltorb is pretty good. Swift for 20 is still fine. You can't hit a weakness on this one, but you also don't get killed by resistance, so that's kind of neat. Electrode is one of the decks I really want to play this round. Super Dynamo is a bit like Typhlosion, but for one less evolution stage. It does have to be active, but we've been noting in this set, all of the best partners for Electrode have only got 1 retreat cost. So Dodrio, even as a 2-2 line, would be a fantastic pairing for this. We can infinitely retreat until we get to Ruby Sapphire. So this is a viable option, right? You bring it in, if you've got 2 or 3 of them in play, you bring it into the active, flip to get the energy from the discard pile back, and then retreat to a new Electrode, do the same, retreat to a new Electrode, do the same, and hopefully you have charged up your attacker, which ideally would be something like Lantern or Executor, but we will see. Undersea Ruins is a very strange card. This is base set Devolution Spray on a stadium, and you have to flip heads for it. It's not very good, but I could see some situations where you would be okay with this. If you're playing a heavy line of Town Volunteers, or maybe next set Lure Ball, you could potentially cycle through like Pokemon with multiple viable evolutions, such as the Houndour over here. This is actually one we're looking at for Dark Houndoom and Neo Revelation Houndoom, right? So you may be able to do some preemptive switching stuff that way. You can't evolve and de-evolve in the same turn though, so I don't know how good that actually is. Yo! Oh, that might change a bit here. Okay, so first off, let's talk about Time Shard a little bit here, because this could be very intriguing. So, I think for the Venusaur decks, this might actually be somewhat usable. So instead of Experience All taking your energy and attaching them elsewhere, Time Shard lets you take 2 of the basic energy that are on your KO'd Pokemon and put them back into the hand. So this could work with Venusaur because Venusaur can double attach, right? It doesn't work too well in many other decks, I don't think. We don't have Rain Dance in the format, so there's not really any way that you can use it that way. But just being able to maintain your energy maybe could save stuff like Energy Stadium at that point. Technical machines also really get their footing here. We did see the multi-technical machine before, but there is one for every type at this point too, and they all do various effects. You can only attach them to the appropriate type, but some of them which are good are actually really good. This might not be one of them, but Plunder is still a really good attack, right? Discard any trainer cards from the defending Pokemon, you discard, say, the Berry or the Focus Band if we had more of them, and we can just, you know, kill them through that. Only does 10 damage, but you gotta think it's a Darkness energy you're playing, so it's probably 20 that you're doing, so it's okay. Let's talk about this Scizor, however, because this Scizor is probably from meta relevancy, this is probably one of the best cards of the set here. So, it doesn't have a grass resistance, that's super weird. That's the only metal type that doesn't in this era, I think, which is just like, what? It's kind of stupid. It can't be poisoned, that's cute, I suppose. We don't really care too much about that, but at least it's there. Before the first attack, before doing damage, we choose one of the opponent's bench Pokemon with no damage counters on it and switch to defending Pokemon with it. So, you can't KO anything with this, but it can drag in bench sitters because they generally don't take damage, right? So, that's kind of neat. But really, the big hit here is Heavy Metal. For each metal energy that you have attached to this thing, you flip a coin. If heads, you do 20 more damage, like for each one. So, this thing just tanks, right? We have metal energy reducing damage that's done on it, and then heavy metal just does more and more and more as you accrue more energy on this thing. So, really, really cool to see that. We do have one for the reverse holo slot too. Not that we can see that. Once again, API does not have reverse holos, unfortunately, but this is awesome. I haven't really seen very many of these pulled yet, so very, very glad to get that early. It's a fantastic start. Second Electrode here is really good too. This looks very pretty with the holo stuff here. Couple other standout things, I guess, here. The Grass Cube is Sleep Poison, which is really strong, to be honest. They're all for low energy cost, right? So you can use these as like early game hits. Is this better than the multi-technical paralysis one? Probably. It depends on the situation. But I think this is definitely a good consideration. Jinxes are rare here, came a couple of sets too late. If we still had Golbat in play, I'd definitely be jamming this. The Dark Golbat, that is. Because, yeah, this Meditate is just what I was doing, but slightly cheaper, right? So I'd mix it, because it's got 10 less HP, it does attack for 1 less energy, but it also does 10 less damage, so the numbers change depending on what you're attacking. But that's a moot point because we don't have it. Chansey is a notable common here. There is a Blissey in this set, and this, like, all colorless Pokemon, it doesn't resist Psychic anymore. But this Chansey, honestly, is still decent. Mostly as like a scoop up target or something, right? 100 HP is a lot to hit through. So there are some tanking decks that you could build with this. It is still okay. There's a decent Magnemite line in here too. You pay less to retreat for each one that's on the bench. It's fine. I'm not sure which Magnemite you actually play in the end. Oh, there's a couple of cool things here. So, first time we're getting, well, second time we're getting a holo here. It's pretty nice. Arcanine's not a very good one, unfortunately. You have to discard to flip for its damage here. It's like a worse Ninetales than the previous set. Granted, you can discard only a couple, but you have to flip for the damage. So Fire Blow is just really bad. And its power is counterintuitive to what it's actually doing here. It's a very pretty looking card though. Really runs in with that Chinese like legendary theme that they were going for this thing. Jumpluff is super annoying. If you've ever seen something like, I think Dragapult has this ability at the moment, but there's been like a Noivern that's had it, Whimsicott GX, I think is probably the biggest one that's had this sort of thing. There's a Cinccino, I remember, that had this. If this one needs to be damaged first, right? If you have at least one damage counter on this thing, when it would take damage or affected by an opponent's attack, flip a coin. If heads, prevent all effects of that attack. This is like the Haunter from Fossil, but infinitely better because the attack is actually really good too. It's okay, it's like double kick, but it's for 1 energy, it does 30 times. It resists water too, which is nice. Not entirely sure why, but okay. It has no retreat cost as well, just like the Haunter did. So, very cool card. Warp Energy is also pretty interesting here. If you attach it to your active, you switch it with one of your bench Pokemon. So, there's particular applications you can use with this. It's an intriguing one. It can maybe fade switch as well, like if you want. It's probably better than full heal energy in most situations, because you're probably going to have a baby Pokemon with 0 retreat on the bench. So, it's pretty cool. If you're feeling lucky, Marowak is here because it can flip until you get Tails to do like 50 damage for each one. If you could do like a baseline, maybe 20 or something here, I don't know how that would work out with the numbers, but you know, if you could at least do a baseline amount of damage, it'd be cute, but whatever. I noticed this Mr. Mime as well. I don't think it's very good, but it does reduce up to 20 damage if you can actually attack with Mind Shock and with basic energy here. It's okay. If it had more HP, it'd probably be fine, but 50's a little bit too low for that, I guess. Oh my goodness. We are just getting all of the Electrode here. Okay, we already have 3 of that, so that's fantastic. I'm looking for a couple of these Gloom as well. One to trade to Sai, and then I kind of want a couple for the Machamp deck. So, as long as it's in play, resistance is only 10 instead of 30. Remind you of anything? This is Resistance Gym. Just on a stage 1. Which is not too hard to get out at this point either. It also attacks for colorless. The Vileplume in this set attacks for colorless as well, so it could even be splashed as an attacker. But yeah, it's mostly for the resistancing. Because fighting types really hate getting resisted out the game, right? I was testing the Machamp against the Ho-Oh deck. How does it even beat it? Because Ho-Oh just resists you and it's like too big. So that's a really good way around it. The Magneton over here is super weird. I don't know if it's actually good, but I could maybe see it as a tanking deck. Its ability lets you, if you flip heads, switch 2 of your opponent's energy cards around. It's probably good against, like, Darkness decks, where you could, like, get their Darkness energy away from the Dark active and put it on a baby Pokemon to, like, bleed it to death. But, oh my god, this power is weird. I have no idea. Steel Wave is interesting, though. Most decks are not going to fall prey to this, but if you're up against a Mono-type deck, 10 damage to each of the opponent's bench that are the same type as the active is pretty strong. And it is all colorless energy, so you can use Metal and Lightning, like, attachment stuff to this as well. Keep in mind that the Electrode here does not have to attach to a Lightning Pokemon, so that could be pretty strong. Alright, we've already had a really good start here. Tyranitar, I guess I should note too. It's big, it's got a lot of attacks. It's not super good. Destructive Roar is interesting. You know, being able to energy removal to any of... Well, I mean, that's what energy removal 2 does. Crushing Hammer on a coin flip, I guess. Same sort of idea. Meh, I don't know. Tail Slap is a little bit underpowered, even when you consider that it's using a basic Dark. And Giga Crush, well... There's a way of charging it up. I don't think it's a very good deck to play, but like Giga Crush could be interesting if nothing else. I didn't pull the Tyrannus off in the last set, so I'm not really too interested. Yo, that's another really good one. Okay, wow, our first 6 packs have been stacked here. Hopefully this keeps up. We have Paragon 2. Paragon 2, once per turn, you draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. So, very, very good just to have around here. Of course, we've talked about the Gloom. Artwork appreciation for this Marl, I don't know, just like the lumpy pose is just cute to me. Also, Happy Whooper, speaking on artwork appreciation. It's weak to lightning though, so not so happy in that front. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it from here. Does this do anything good? The top 3 cards, yeah, I mean, it's intel, I guess, but Shuffle Draw is mostly what's going to happen here. Alright, next up. Yo, another 3 really good cards I wanted to see here, actually. Wow, there's just so much to talk about. Donphan, 30 damage for 1 energy. Oh, I need to highlight it again. 30 damage for 1 energy. 10 to each of your own bench Pokemon. Okay, a couple of decks can run with that, right? The Jumpluff would be able to use that. Machamp can use that to fuel its damage and stuff as well. Donchamp probably is the first time that we'll see that here. Also, the other Donphan could use it for Flail, so potentially really good synergy with the original one too. Also, for some reason, only has 2 retreat costs. I don't know. You never want to go for double stab on this thing; it's too expensive. Although you could use boost energy with it if we do pull those, so I guess that's something. But yeah, no, pretty cool. Umbreon, also pretty cool here. Shadowbind is neat, stops the opponent from retreating, so you need to play a lot of switch outs against this thing. Dark Moon is where it gets in. This is not a Luigi's Mansion thing because it's way too early for that. But still, if you have Darkness Energy on this thing, you look at the opponent's hand. For each Darkness you have on the Umbreon, you take one of their cards, shuffle it back into deck, and then they redraw afterwards. It's disruption. You get to see what's in their hand, you get to take their supporter cards, presumably, away from their hand, and yes, they get to redraw, but they might just redraw into junk at that point. And yeah, it's really good disruption. Also, the fact of it stops the opponent from retreating, and can do this for all colorless energy too, is pretty important. So, very, very good card there. Octillery is also a retreat punisher. If you aren't playing switching cards and stuff, you are going to have a hard time against this. Smokescreen stops the opponent attacking often, which is obviously the main idea of a lot of these things. But if they try to retreat, they have to discard every energy that's attached to them. And we already have Dark Octillery, which is decent in its own right. So I think there's a home for this card. Very, very nice one to see here. Alright, next up, we have the Victory Bell. That's really good. Also Steelix. I know Pepper's looking for this one, so I think this will be worth talking about too. Lightning Cube is, what was it? Electabuzz. Lieutenant Surge's Electabuzz, except it does 40 instead of 30, because I guess it's it's slightly power crept, but it's also on a thing that you can only use once, and then it gets discarded. Yeah, discard all lightning energy attached to this Pokemon. Guess what could use that? All the Electro that we've been getting. I'm excited for this, actually. I might play this if I build that deck. So, very, very nice. Smoochum as a baby Pokemon never gets that much love, but I think this one, debatably, is better in our format than the other one. That doesn't really say anything because it's still terrible, but yeah, it's like Psywave, but you gotta flip for each of the cards, so really bad. This Steelix, I'm not sure what I think about it, if I'm being totally honest with you. It does 10 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon for a double colorless. But if you flip Tails, so it's like 10 damage to all of the opponent's Pokemon, but if you flip Tails, you can't use Earth Rift in consecutive turns. It's a 4 retreat cost, so it is really hard to get out the active. So that means you're going to have to go for Iron Smash instead. And Iron Smash, if you flip 2 Tails, it doesn't do anything, which for 4 energy is ridiculous, right? But if you do flip 2 Heads, it does 70 instead of 50. Okay, most of the time, like, obviously, the Steelix from Neo Genesis is better, but we also don't have very many of those. Earth Rift is not a terrible move. You can do, like, good spread damage with that. I'm just not sure on the exact home for it yet. So, I don't know. It's its own deck, but it's just like, is it good? We'll have to find out. Victory Bell is really nice to see. It's the same, like I said, as Erica's Victory Bell. You flip a coin once per turn, and if heads, you gust in one of the opponent's Pokemon. fantastic in breeder decks, and its attack is okay. You probably don't ever want to actually use it though. If heads, you burn 40 damage on 3 energy. Nah, not really too good. 90 HP is solid though, so it's a definite improvement over the Erica's one. The Phanpy here is worth noting because it has Flail. The original Donphan does have Flail if you are going to splash that in too, but Phanpy here, having it means you can Memory Berry with the new Donphan and use Flail as well with that, so keep that in mind. Memory Berry is a tool that's in this set, so hopefully we see it. First, I think this is our first supporter card for the set. Definitely happy for that. Also really happy to see the Hypno here. So, Hypno, the reason I need this is because it auto-sleeps the opponent if you have Hypno active. And with just 1 energy to retreat it too, really solid. Spiral Aura is interesting. If you don't KO the opponent, you can force them to switch. You actually choose as well, so that's okay, but then you won't have them asleep, so it depends on the situation, right? You could get a bench sitter in and it'd probably be decent though. But it's mostly Sleep Pendulum, because you use this with Dark Gengar, and then the opponent just can't, like, do anything, right? So, really, really good. Rapidash, not really worth talking about apart from artwork appreciation. It is good artwork, but the attacks are terrible. Juggler is really necessary for the Electro deck to function, I think, because you need them in the discard, the energy, that is. Discard up to 2 basic energy from your hand. If you discard 1, draw 3. If you discard 2, draw 5. Draw 5 is insane, but even just being able to Juggler to draw 3 is really good, right? You can modulate what you need in the discard and how many cards you actually need to draw that turn as well. Really, really, really good card. There's going to be a lot of engines that can play this. Otherwise, I don't think there's too much. The Pinsir is funny, right? 90 damage for 3 energy on a common card, but if you flip like one tails out of 2, it does nothing. So, like, yeah, it's 75% of the time it just doesn't do anything, but that's a lot of damage for a really funny thing, right? Its first attack also does nothing, so, you know, if you flip tails, kind of silly. I think the Kangaskhan is somewhat worth noting. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose one of them to put to your hand, and shuffle the rest back into the deck. It is on 2 colors energy, so it's a little bit expensive, but if you're really struggling to get set up, this could be something you play. I'm pretty sure it's outclassed in like all of the relevant formats, but if we test if we do a week of E-Series only, which is just Expedition, Aquapolis, and Skyridge, this is a card to look out for, because this actually could be good at that point. Alright, next up, Rainbow Energy comes back, like I've said. We do have another Victory Bell, so this is good. We don't need any more of this, I don't think, but that's still fine. Tyrogue is silly. It still retains the if tails it does nothing thing. If heads, you discard a special energy, so that's kind of cute. The fact if it takes a fighting energy to do that, though, is unfortunate. This Tyrogue looks like it's going to evolve into a Hitmonlee based on this artwork, right? I don't see Hitmonlee anywhere on there, but I do see the other 2, so that's kind of neat, I suppose. Now that I've got a couple of Victory Bell, let's talk about the Weeping Bell real quick. Growth is really neat if you get the energy into your hand, right? Just attach 2 to the Weeping Bell. Could be interesting for Venusaur decks, actually. Because, you know, being able to get more energy and play quickly is the idea there. So, also only 1 energy cost. So, could be decent. Alright. Have we got anything good? This might be the first pack that we don't have a ton that's worth talking about. There is the uncommon Voltorb here. It has a little bit more HP, so I suppose you could use that. Weakness Guard is interesting. I mean, Charmander kind of sums it up properly. Fire types are always weak to water, so this is probably the best way to use it. But it's not a Pokemon tool, actually. That is kind of the intriguing bit. Only lasts for 1 turn, so not really super good. Seadra is worth noting for the Kingdra, but we'll get into that when I actually get to that card, like from, you know, the theme deck stuff. And Tentacruel is, like, awful. I have no idea how you are supposed to use this thing. As long as the number of energy cards attached to a defending Pokemon is less than attached to your active, you may choose an energy card, if any, in the opponent's discard pile, and attach it to the defending Pokemon. Why are you giving them energy out the discard? Pepper mentioned Darkness Energy Bleed, and I suppose that's a thing, but, like, why? You're giving them a retreat aid as well. It's just so bad. Alright, next up, another really good pack here. There's like 5 excellent things to talk about in this one. Pokemon Park. Okay, maybe not excellent, but this is still decent. If you attach an energy from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon, you can remove 10 damage off that Pokemon. Fine, it's a bit of a benign stadium, right? But it could work in some spots. I did have a couple of nasty damage stuff in the weekend that could have worked for that. Fan Club, best card in the set in terms of trainer stuff here. This replaces your need for Dual Ball in most decks here. Search your deck for up to 2 baby and or basic Pokemon, so this can actually get your Cleffa, directly bench them. The only time this doesn't work is in my Entei deck, because you need to play that from hand to bench in order to use its power, and this would not let you do that. Other than that, this card is busted. Like, really, really, really strong here. A third Victory Bell is very interesting. Second Steelix is pretty good. So, like, I do have what I need here. Blossom in the Holo slot here looks really pretty. Very cool card. This is sort of like another version of Venusaur in its own way. If you flip heads, you can attach a basic energy from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon. This does stack, so you can use multiple of these per turn, and also you can use this even if you don't need to attach to the active. So in some ways this is better than Venusaur. In others, of course not, because it's a coin flip. Knife Leaf is also just decent enough for attacking, but the real gem here is combining it with the Blossom from Neogenesis. Only has 70 HP, but it does 30 damage for the same energy cost here for every Blossom you have in play. So you can swing for gigantic numbers with that, and we have the tools at this point where getting these stage 2s in play isn't necessarily impossible. I think the Smeargle was somewhat intriguing here. If you flip heads, defending Pokemon is now confused, and then you switch the Smeargle out. That's okay, right? On a coin toss is a bit weak, but, you know, disruption stuff is somewhat cute. We have a Houndoom over here. Another Lightning Cube is good. This Flaffy is super derpy. Not much to say about that. Houndoom's not amazing, unfortunately. Fireworks is a little bit too low impact for how much it's asking for. Dark Impact is interesting, like stopping the opponent using any Poké Powers. Might actually be good enough. This is, but it's only on the defending Pokemon. So, I don't know. I don't think it's strong enough, but there are some situations where that could be good. Alright, next up, the Forest, that's really good. Pokemon Fan Club is amazing here as well. Apricorn Forest is, like, I am super hyped for this card. Yes, it needs a coin flip, but the player, if their bench is not full, the turn player can flip a coin. If heads, show the opponent a basic energy from their hand, then search their deck for a basic Pokemon of that type, and bench it. This is such a big setup aid that... yeah, no, I think this is awesome. A lot of decks are only playing like 1 or 2 types, but they could also just play like a couple of oddball cards, I guess. If, you know, you could play just like Grass Lightning, say. And if you have your Grass Energy in hand, you could use this to search for a Bulbasaur. If you got the Lightning in hand, you could use it to search for, you know, your Lightning component. It's super good. If you're playing Mono-type, then it's great, because this is flip a coin. If heads, get a basic Pokemon out of your deck each turn, right? Could be very good for Electrode. Forest Guardian, shuffle it's like, this is a weird Pokedex type ability here for the supporter. Shuffle your deck, look at the top 7 cards in your deck, and get one of those cards into hand. Shuffle the rest into deck. A little bit limited, but Misty's Determination was a somewhat similar idea to this and did actually see play. And that card made you discard a card, so it was actually a -1. This could be good. I think we've got to play test with it to actually see, though. It's a little bit hard to just gauge in a vacuum, but could be strong. Oh, a third of this Steelix. Alright, well, I guess I'm trading these off then. I know Pepper was looking for these, so that's kind of neat. Slowking is probably nowhere near good enough in this format. 10 damage times the number of energy cards the opponent has in their hand is just not going to happen. If it just did 10 damage to each card in the opponent's hand, probably would be too strong and clever, but it would force the opponent to consider that at least. And then Shuffle Attack, I think, is just like a damaging prophecy type thing, or Future Sight. Yeah, like look at the opponent's deck equal to the number of energy that's attached to the defending Pokemon. Okay, so kind of a weird setup that way. Not really good enough, to be honest. Golduck, I think, what was it? It was like double status condition on the stuff there. Not really good enough compared to the light Golduck, but who knows, right? Oh, we actually get a couple of good things to note here. So, Memory Berry is the first one. This is Recall, but as a Pokemon tool. So, we did actually see that used, especially with the Feraligatr, to recall Rage from the Totodile. So, this is a pretty good one to have in the format. Houndoom's not really too noteworthy. It's like worse Raichu, basically, from the previous set. Raichu was already bad. We determined that in testing, so whatever. Boost Energy. It can only go on an evolution Pokemon. It provides 3 colorless energy for that turn. They can't retreat, and you discard it at the end of the turn. It's weird. Some decks can really use it. This is the card I've been alluding to for Tyranitar. Blissey could technically use this as well, I guess, but yeah, like the Donphan, potentially you could use stuff with it. Most decks don't get to use 3 colorless energy for their stuff, so I don't really know exactly where the home is for this right now, but there's got to be something you can do with it. It's going to be pretty cool. Togetic is really interesting because I whiffed on Porygon 2. This might actually be sort of the way to go around that if you don't need the special energy part. Once per turn, you may discard a basic energy from one of your Pokemon, then choose a basic energy in your discard pile and attach it to that Pokemon. Mini Metronome is also just like flip a coin. It's the copy one of the defending Pokemon's attacks, but on a coin toss. So, like, the attack is okay. The ability's decent. Doesn't work with special energy using stuff, so that could be a problem, but otherwise definitely one to keep around. Number 1 of the Umbreon, we do get the Suicune here as well. The legendary dogs in this set, if you want to actually attach a energy of their type to them, you have to discard an energy as well, which is really sad, because they don't even do that much to justify that, right? Like, woo, you can do 50 if you flip heads, or 30 plus sleep if you flip tails. Whoop-de-frickin-do, it doesn't do nearly enough. Super Energy Removal 2 is a travesty of a card. If 2 coins are heads, you discard all energy attached to the defending Pokemon. Wow, that's really powerful, right? If both are tails, discard all energy attached to your active Pokemon. Oh man, that is one hell of a bad payoff. If one is heads and one is tails, it doesn't even do anything. So, 25% chance to be good, 25% chance to be, like, awful, or at the very least, basically 75% chance to do nothing, because you probably don't play this if you have any energy on your active Pokemon. And if you don't have energy on your active, you're not attacking, so I don't know. Umbreon is also neat to see here, so let's round out the first half of this with another Electrode. Is that my 4th one? I think it might be. Apricot Forest, again, really good to see that. Town Volunteers. This is our replacement for Time Capsule. We'll probably play this in like every deck we have. It's one-sided Time Capsule. Take 5 baby basic evolution and or basic energy cards, like 5 Pokemon and energy combination, from your discard pile, show them to the opponent, shuffle them into the deck. Really, really solid. Absolutely going to play that in like every deck. So good to have, good to have. We need that sort of recovery in the thing. The fact that it's a supporter means you either do this or you draw cards for the turn, and I think that's a pretty good trade-off, to be honest. Alright, second half. We're still looking for a fair few things out of this. This is one of them, though, so this is a good start. Executor coming in at the slot here. This is one of the things I could see being played with the Psychic one might be slightly better, but this is one I could see being played with the Electrode. So, Super Explosion, you discard any number of energy cards attached to any of your Pokemon. Flip a coin for each one, do 40 damage times number of heads. This is like Dark Typhlosion, but any energy card, so it's not locked to fire. So the obvious combination here is to use this with the Electrodes, right? It only has a 1 energy retreat cost, so like the Electrode, Dodrio partners perfect with this. Cold Shot is really good for the grass stuff. This was played in Meganium decks as a competitive thing at the time. You choose one of the opponent's bench Pokemon and snipe it for 10 for every grass energy on Exeggutor. We wouldn't be using it for that bit here. We might tech this into Venusaur and use it that way, like energy trans 4-5 energy or whatever we need onto this thing, and then just snipe from there, right? It could still be used that way too, so that's good. Fighting Cube is, I think, Promo Machamp's Seething Anger was the general idea for this as well. For every damage counter that you have on your fighting Pokemon, you flip a coin, do 10 damage times number of heads. Little bit of a shame it's not just a straight 10 times, that might be a bit too powerful, but yeah, I don't know. Not good enough because of the coin tossing part here. A third Scizor is really good. Another Town Volunteers, I guess. Hypno is really good as well. I needed 2 of those for what I was going to play. Healing Berry is super weird and honestly not nearly good enough. I guess this is the precursor to the Pinch Berry stuff. If you have 20 or less HP at the end of any turn, heal 30 and discard the berry. So this works on lower HP Pokemon, which is fine, but you know, like Goldberry doesn't always work if you have less than 60 HP, right? But it's so restrictive as to when it's going to work. I don't know, just play Goldberry for now. Oh, the Nidoking is intriguing. Yeah, and the first Forest. This is one of the big ones I needed to see here. Once during your turn before you attack, put 2 cards from your hand into your deck, then search for any energy card. Show it to the opponent, put it into your hand. So this is the pseudo replacement for Clefable. It takes more cards out of your hand, but you can search for special energy too. This is really, really good for the metal-based decks as well. Metal and Darkness. Nidoking is worth noting because one of the theme decks actually has this. Once during your turn before you attack, if it's your active, flip a coin. If heads, put a damage counter on each of the opponent's bench Pokemon. Giant Horn is also a decent enough attack, so there's definite use for this. 50 plus up to 80 if you flip heads. But yeah, if you can manage to get a couple of these out and be able to switch between them, it's a tall order, but potentially if you get a couple of procs of this per turn, very powerful effect. So could be worth it. Another Togetic, another Scizor. This is the 4th one of these too. Nobody else has pulled this many with like 1 each or something so far. Crystal Energy is very strange and maybe worth playing in some stuff. It's any energy so long as you have one of those energy already on the Pokemon. So it's colorless if there's nothing on them, but if you have say 1 fire energy, it provides just a fire energy, so it's like 2 fire at that point. But if you then attach a grass energy as well, this crystal energy will provide a fire and a grass, so you'll effectively be 2 fire, 2 grass at that point. The idea is to turn 3 energy attachments into 4 for like dual color decks, but I don't know, that's a difficult one to like gauge how good it is here. Second Togetic is also really good. Moving on, Rainbow Energy don't really need to see here. Sad Wooper is very sad. This is actually the better one too, so it's kind of depressing in a way. This Ninetales we haven't seen yet. It's not good enough, to be honest. There's nothing that inflicts burn on a Pokemon power, so we can't use it like the Arbok. Its Miracle Tail is cute, I guess. You can maybe use that to do some good stuff with burning the opponent and then using Roasting Heat. Nah, not nearly good enough, unfortunately. Nice artwork on it, though. Next up, 3rd of the Umbreon is good. Seer is an interesting one here, too. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck, take all basic energy you find there, show them to your opponent, put them into hand, shuffle deck afterwards. I don't immediately know what sort of deck you would play that in, because again, we don't have Rain Dance at the moment. But I guess you could maybe use this in like Harvest Bounty Venusaur or the Blossom stuff if you have enough energy in deck to be able to use that with. I don't know. It's an interesting card at least. Primeape is unfortunately not quite good enough because it damages itself with its second attack. Karate Chop doesn't really do much here for it, so not really worth the rare slot in my opinion. Alright. I know this has been going on forever. We've got 1/3 of the box left to go. Second Donphan is really good to see. Happy enough with that for sure. Not really anything else to note in that one, so let's just move on. Another Forest is really, really good. We need 2 of it, as the limit here, so that's fine. Wouldn't play more than 2, but super good at that. Water Cube, I think, is one of the best ones, because you get to snipe 20 damage anywhere on your opponent's board for 1 energy. That's actually really good. Also, the fact that these aren't technical machines, they are technical machines, they aren't Pokemon tools. You can attach like a Goldberry and also use the Water Cube. So, very nice to see. Everything else that's good we've already seen before. Looking for the Lantern of this type to go with the Electrode, but we just haven't seen that yet. Hollow Nidoking is cute. It looks really nice with the way the background is there. Vileplume, like I mentioned, this can attack for colorless energy, so it's decent. Like 40 damage if heads, the opponent can't play a support the next turn. That's most of the draw engine of a lot of decks, so could be decent. Poison Scent is also crazy in its own right, you know? Poison automatically, and then it's either Confuse or Sleep depending on the flip. So if you play like 1 Rainbow Energy, really cool. You can also boost energy with this, so I guess that's fun. Power Plant is another somewhat intriguing thing. This is Togetech's power, but from the hand instead. So you discard a basic energy from your hand, and then get a basic energy out of your discard pile to replace it. So you could say, if I had enough energy in total, you could say in the Ho deck I played before, take one of your lightning energy that I have like 5 of, discard it, and then get the water energy that I only have 1 of back into hand instead. Probably its best home. I still think Energy Stadium is better, but this doesn't benefit the opponent nearly as much in most cases, so I guess there's that. Alright, next up, another boost energy. Azumarill is something we haven't seen yet. It's weird. I don't really know how best to use this thing. If it's on the bench, flip a coin. If heads, super scoop up. It's got its own super scoop up every turn. Aquasonic also doesn't apply resistance, so I guess if you're getting beaten down by that Meganium Turbo deck, you could maybe do that. Not sold. Energy Switch makes its debut here though. This is a good card. Maybe not for this format, but keep an eye on it and in the history of the game, because there are times where this is very, very strong. This just might not be one of them. Move a basic energy from one of your Pokemon to another one. Lets you accelerate attacks out of nowhere. Sometimes probably could be used with a Blossom actually. Another Donphan is really good. I did need to see this. Another Warp Energy, and well, if you're playing a Jump Bluff, this Skiploom is probably the best one. It's debatable though. Depends what resistance you want and everything too. Because it's like 10 damage plus either Sleep or 20 more damage depending on the coin toss. I don't know. Shoutouts to this Cypher for being lightning weak, by the way. Different from all the other ones, so I guess there's that. Next up, another fan club, really, really good here. Hollow Tentacle, because at least it looks pretty. Yeah, nothing really too special out of there. Reverse and regular Hitmonchan is cute, I guess. Alright, last 6 packs. See what we get. Metal Energy. Yes, this is my 4th one now. So I can play the Sizzle perfectly well. Excellent. Really, really glad to see that. 5 left. Another Juggler, and needed to see this as well. Very, very powerful card here. Lots of Auxiliary too, actually. I could maybe try and play that. Next up, wrong Lantern. Unfortunately, I needed the other one. So this lets you turn all of your lightning energy into water for the rest of the turn, which is interesting. Electric Tackle does more damage for all the lightning energy on it, so it doesn't really synergize with itself, but if you flip Tails, it does damage to itself for all the lightning, so not really very good, to be honest. The other one would have been much better. We're lacking partners to go with our Electrodes. We have enough Electrode, we're just lacking the partners for it. More Juggler is really good too. I guess Time Shard could be interesting. Oh, another Executor. You know what? That's fine. I would like the other one, but this is still good. We might be able to trade for it. I don't know. Pseudo Widow could be really good. You choose one of the opponent's attacks, copy that attack. It's, I think the Neo Revelation Pseudo Widow that we missed out on has this as its ability, but having it as the attack instead means that it's less susceptible to Muck, so that's kind of neat. Energy Draw is also kind of nice too, like search your deck for a basic energy, attach it to the Pseudo Widow. Could be good, so definitely okay with that. And then our last pack, I know it's been going on for a very long time at this point. Third Magneton, not really too fussed about that one. Okay, we got basically what I wanted out of here. This is generally quite a good opening. The only thing I missed, if I'm being completely honest here, is the partners to go with the Electrode. That's the only thing that I wish I had more of, but I can't really complain too much with this, I don't think. We do have a theme deck to take as well, and I think I know exactly which one I have to take here, just based on the pulls that we have, because I did not get Kingdra, which is one of the main... I should have sorted this first. One of the main things that I was looking for was the Kingdra from this set. So I think we have to take that one just because I missed out on that. But let's at least show what we got. Show the stuff here. I think there's a lot of potential trade stuff from this too, because I do not need all the Steelix, because I don't think I'm going to play that. I think I'd play the Scizor if I got the stuff there. Just a quick look compared to last time. I do not see very many, if any, uncommons here, which is good. Yeah, because even you're a common. That's good. Last time I got a bunch of uncommons that were in this annoying spot. This time, not any of them, so definitely happy to see that. Shoutouts to Apom having Skedaddle as its attack name, by the way. Yeah, so just taking a quick overview of the set here. Got a couple of the Gloom, so I could probably trade one of these. I don't think you need very many of them for the Machamp deck, so I can probably get away with trading one. That's fine. 2 of the Nidoking is interesting. One of the decks does revolve around Nidoking, but I don't think I'm taking that one, to be honest. Blossom, only a 1 of, but I guess if I'm playing the Gloom anyway, that might replace the Venusaur in Machamp. So there's that. Lots of the Victory Bell, and enough of the Weeping Bell too, so we can play that. The uncommon Bellsprout is nice to see a couple of too, because yeah, its attack is more expensive, but it does have 50 HP, so good to see that. We have a lot of the Magneton if I ever do want to try and play that. I don't think I do, but okay. What else we got? Yeah, we didn't really see many of this Magnemite, because I guess it is uncommon. It has a taunt style attack, which is cute, I guess, but nah, not really amazing. 2 Hypno, exactly what I needed off of that, so that's really good. Look how many Electrode I have here, though. 5 of them, that's crazy. It doesn't... Hollows are a different number in the sets, that's why it doesn't filter out at that point. 5 Electrode, though. Definitely up for trade there. Triple Steelix is pretty good. Couple of this Executor. The other one is regular Big Explosion that it has. It's Psychic type to go with this thing. And its Lateral Explosion does take 1 Psychic Energy, but is like flip for all the energy you have in play and do like 30 plus 10 for each one that you flip heads for. So that would have been nice to have had. Doesn't really matter. Good amount of the Seadra too. You only get 2 in the deck, so nice to see that come in here. Look at this lovely 4 set of Scizor down here. Absolutely beautiful. Decent amount of the Cypher as well. There is another Cypher in this set, but I think I'm okay with that. We've got the promo Cypher still, as well as potentially Agility one, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is fine. Only 50 HP is sketchy on this, mind you, but I think this is the one that got played just because it's different weakness and stuff on it. What do we get? 3 of the Umbreon? That's really good. I have the Faint Attack one still, so there's that. Only 1 Porygon 2. We're going to get a second one from the deck, so that's fine. 2 Furret is what we needed there. 2 Togetic, but only 1 Togepi, which is a common. That's kind of unfortunate. But we have Togepi promos from before, so I guess we're using the Southern Islands one. It's kind of nice. No Ampharos. Once again, I just cannot pull sheep, I suppose. Azumarill, Sudowoodo is kind of nice. Only 1 Jumpluff. This has got to be up for trade, unfortunately. So we're not going to get to play that, but maybe we'll be able to use that somewhere else. 4 Artillery, pretty good. 3 Donphan, really good as well, actually. Tyranitar is here. It's neat. A couple of the Houndoom, I suppose. More after the Houndour, to be totally honest with you. And then looking at our support trainer stuff here, loads of Darkness Cube. Maybe that comes in handy. Only 1 Energy Switch, a little bit of a shame. Couple of the Lightning Cube is absolutely something I wanted to see here. Weakness Guard, yay, I suppose. Forest Guardian, yay. Loads of Fan Club Juggler. So the main choice, one of the main choices in the starter decks, so the theme decks even, is whether you take like Juggler or Fan Club. I have plenty of both, so that's going to be good. Loads of Memory Berry if I do want to use that. Time Shard, we got a full playset of 2. Town Volunteers is really good. Apricot Forest is really good. Then down here we actually, I mean, I've got 2 spare rainbow energy now, I guess, but we kind of pulled most of what I'd want out of the energy stuff. 4th metal energy is fantastic. 1 crystal energy, we haven't pulled very many of these, unfortunately. I know Pepper was looking to experiment with it, we just didn't really get it. And then a couple of warp energy too. Big whiff from this set, I did not get the Espeon. So I want to just quickly talk about this, because I think it was used in decks at the time. You can take any energy card from one of your Pokemon and just return it to the hand. So you use that with stuff like the warp energy, and you can effectively just reuse it every turn. Also, here's the... oh, it's only bench Pokemon you can use the thing. It doesn't count its own energy. I guess that would be pretty strong if it did. This is the Exeggutor we missed. I might be able to trade for that. And then the Lantern I missed as well. Discard all lightning energy attached to this thing. Flip a coin for each one you discard. And do 30 plus 40 for each head you get. I really wanted this because this works super well with the Electrode. But I got like 5 of the Electrode, none of this, and none of this Exeggutor too. So I'm going to have to do some trades and hopefully pick up some of the stuff here. Anyway, last bit to go. Again, I know this has been going on a very, very long time. Expect this from most of the sets, to be honest. We have Fiendex to go over here. So the top one focuses on Nidoking, as I mentioned. Does have another copy of this Exeggutor, but we already pulled 2, so we're not really too fussed about that. It has Blissey, which we didn't pull. For every energy that's on the Blissey, you get to heal that much from one of your bench Pokemon if you flip heads. So that's kind of cute. Smash Bomber is also okay. It's energy, not energy cards. So boost energy would actually give you plus 30 healing on this thing. So I guess that's kind of neat. But if you flip tails, the attack does nothing. So good luck with that one. The reason to pull this, pick this one is because you get 2 Forest Guardian, and I did only pull 1 of. 2 Fan Club, and the Town Volunteers is in both of them, so we're fine that way. But it's 2 Fan Club and 2 Forest Guardian is the main reason for this one. However, I'm pretty sure I want to take this one, because we actually got 3 Forest Guardian in here, which is kind of funny. But the main reason to take this deck is because we get another one of the Paragon 2. I only pulled 1, so getting 2 of this would be great. We get the Juggler to round out the stuff. I would love to have 4 of this, so I think that's what we're going for. Professor Oak's Research is not New Theory, that's much later on. Research is whatever, I have like 2 spare of this already. Kingdra is the other big reason. I wanted 1 copy of this. So, as often as you like during your turn, move a water energy from your active to one of your bench Pokemon. So you use this with the Revelation Kingdra that's already tanking a bunch of stuff. It takes some damage, you remove one of the water energy from that Kingdra to your bench, like this one, because this attack is expensive but pretty strong, and after that you heal the Kingdra, and then just attach 1 new energy and use your genetic memory stuff again. So, yeah, this is powerful, and I want 1 copy of it, so this is the deck we are taking. So yeah, this will get added to the collection as we go as well. Last bit, I guess, to note is the promo stuff here. This Hitmonchan was misprinted with 60 HP. It's actually the base set one, so we will not be using this one. We will be taking the... I'll be going back through to base set and taking one of those ones instead. Rocket Scizor is terrible, don't even bother with it. Dark Venusaur is terrible, don't even bother with it. The Ivysaur is something that Pepper is excited for. I can kind of see it. If you retreat the Ivysaur, manually retreat by the way, not use a switch card, you gust the opponent. So, it's like Guzma, except you have to have this active first. And it's got a 2 retreat, so you're going to really want to play like Dodrio with this thing. I could see it. Fury Strikes is a bad attack, so we're not even going to talk about that, but it's... If you're playing it with the pure Venusaur deck anyway, I could see it. I'm not really sure. I have to wait and see how it plays. Okay. Apologies for this one taking so long, but I just had a lot to talk about as we went through. We got a really good set of pulls here. So, thank you very much for watching. We have got a lot of deck building to do, but we've also got at least 2 weeks, maybe even 3 or more for that. I am in the process of moving right now. We are getting we have to be out of this house by mid-January, so Yeah, there's... Combine that with the fact if it's over Christmas, like, you know, the Saturday we'd play is Christmas Day. We're not going to bother with that. We might not even do New Year's for the same sort of reason. But, yeah, if you don't see any of these for a while, it's because of that. What I might end up doing is some deck profile stuff as I go forward, because I do have a lot of test stuff here. I can even just briefly show. I have so many tests from the previous format. Not all of these are good, right? But we're gonna still be doing some midweek stuff. I'll probably post a game or two from that if they're good, and yeah, that'll be that. We'll maybe do some deck profile stuff because there's so much to build from this too. I'm excited for this one. So yeah, if we don't do the main series for a while, it's because it's Christmas. I think that's pretty reasonable. But till next time, take care, everyone.